So today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I've been recording. I want you to get to know me so that you can see why I'm doing what I'm doing. Until you know someone's story and what they went through on their journey from, bad times to success and wealth, you can't really relate to them. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and I've decided to do. So, welcome. This is Money Habits. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Aldrich, and I like to talk about habits and money that can help you improve your life. If you're new to the channel and like the video, please hit the subscribe button down below. So, okay, let's get started. I don't know how long I'm going to be outside because it is getting hot out here. We're in the end of June in Ohio, and it's beautiful, but it's getting a little muggy today. So, anyway, let's get started. So, I was born in the early 70s. Yeah, I'm a little bit older than most people on YouTube. So we lived in a small ranch house in a little town in Ohio. My family actually founded the town in the early 1800s when Ohio was becoming a state. So I'm an Ohio girl through and through, although I have a Boston Red Sox shirt on today. Hey, you know what? I like baseball, so whatever. So I'm an Ohio girl through and through, though. Go Buckeyes, go Browns, go Guardians, all of it. My mom stayed home, and my father worked different jobs in the area, from being a foreman in a steel plant to being an engineer consultant at Packard, who made electronics for GM. So my upbringing was basically American middle class. I never knew the struggles that my parents went through until much later in life. I didn't know that we struggled with money at all. I always had food on the table, a warm bed to sleep in, and cool clothes to wear. Might not have been the most fashionable person, but I never wanted for anything. I never knew what money was like for my parents until I started making money on my own after school, and wondered how they did it. How did they put things together? So I was always a smart person. I never was good at trivia or anything like that, but I could always pick up the terms and subjects that were being taught to me. I loved science, and since second grade, I always wanted to be a doctor. I'm not sure where that came from, because no one in my family is a doctor or even close to that. I've got accountants and attorneys and just people that work in factories. Not many of them even went to college, so they were mechanics and line workers. This was the first decision that would start my financial journey, both good and bad. So I decided to go into medicine and chose a small liberal arts college that was close to my house. It was about 45 minutes away. That should have been the first red flag. My parents helped me a little bit with college. I got a little bit of help from the state, but the rest of it was signed on the dotted line with a big old student loan check. Number one mistake, student loans. So I ended up graduating with over $16,000 in student loans and decided to go into dentistry. I had a blast in college. I made lots of friends, formed a difficult thing to stop thinking about habit. I wasn't drinking every day, but I certainly was getting smashed way too often with money that I didn't have to spend. But I still see a bunch of those sorority sisters, and those memories stay with me always. The second red flag, number 2, was going to another private graduate school for dentistry. I mean, what was I thinking? My parents said that they could help me a little bit with rent, but that I was basically on my own. I had to move to Cleveland and found a small apartment that I shared with another student within walking distance of the school. So let me back up a second. Since you don't know me, I want to tell you that I'm not afraid of working hard. In undergrad, I worked several on-campus jobs and would hold down usually 2 jobs in the summertime so that I would have enough money to party and take care of my car and get the things that I needed. I did the same thing in dental school, where I worked 21 hours a week while going to school full time. I made enough to help with rent and, pay the gas and all the utilities and stuff like that. So back then, I was making about, I think it was about $6 an hour, which, is nothing glamorous. It was basically minimum wage. I assure you that it wasn't glamorous, but it definitely helped. So the second red flag, going to a private dental school, at the same time, tuition for dental school was about $23,000 per year. Then you had to buy your own equipment and supplies. So that kind of tacked on another, $17,000. The maximum I could borrow was $40,000 a year. So of course I took it. I borrowed what I could and I borrowed it. Man, I just throw up in my mouth every time I'm thinking about all that money that I wasted on interest and, trying to pay all of those loans back. It just sickens me today that at the time I didn't know any better. And most of the students at the time did the exact same thing. They were broke like I was. But luckily, I graduated in 4 years with a nice $178,000 worth of student loans. All that debt. And remember, this was the early 90s, okay? Almost 30 years ago. So today's tuition costs graduates double that, which is why I won't be telling my son or encouraging him to go into dentistry with all that kind of debt, because I sure as hell am not paying it. So now I'm 26. I have no job, no 401k, nowhere to live, right? And I have $178,000 worth of student loans that have to be started paying back in 6 months from graduation. I still don't have my license to practice yet, because it takes a little while in Ohio for them to register everything, right? So I get a job at a pizza place to make a little bit of money while I waited for my piece of paper to come in. Luckily, I did have a boyfriend at the time who soon would be my first husband. So he helped take care of me and gave me a place to stay in the meantime. That relationship turned out to be a disaster. I think he thought that I was Miss Moneybags or something, being a big shot dentist. And all he finally realized that I was Miss Brokey Pants, having all of that debt and not even, working yet. So I got my my license, right? Sorry, I keep scrolling here. So I got my license in September of 1999. Remember the Prince song, 1999. Got my job working for a dentist in Akron, Ohio. I don't remember what I was making at the time, but maybe $1,000 a week. So I know that that wasn't anything big. And I remember my student loans being around $1,500 a month. I didn't save anything for retirement. And of course, that's red flag number 3, right? So this dentist, who was a complete liar and jerk and swindler, offered me a practice downtown to where we were working, so that I could buy it and I could be on my own. I didn't know at the time that this practice barely had any patients in it, and that the area that it was in was not very good, and the equipment was basically from the 1960s. So it was at least 30 years old, and a lot of it didn't even work. The practice wasn't worth anything. But somehow I thought that, hey, if the bank's going to give me more money, why not take out another $90,000 to buy it? He charged me $90,000. I can't believe it. So I didn't know that you should hire a broker to help you evaluate a practice, or even how to do it. I basically relied on this guy, this other dentist, to help me and to establish the practice. And basically all he did was rob me of $90,000. The bank robbed me of interest, and that would be red flag number 4. So I sold off most of the equipment that was old and wasn't worth much, pennies on a dollar, right? And realized that the area I was in was basically the hood and didn't want to be there. This older dentist happened to have another suite in his office that he wasn't currently using, and offered to renovate it for me for, yes, another $30,000. Little did I know that his rent on his entire office, including my suite, was about $4,000 a month, and he wanted to charge me $3,000. So again, red flag number 5. Ignorance really isn't bliss. I didn't know that, when you move a location of a practice or a business, people don't want to travel that far when they've, been convenient, when they found convenience in where they were going, to find somewhere else to go. That's further away or on the other side of town. So here I am. I've got a new practice with barely any patients, a $3,000 a month rent, and then a $1,500 a month student loan payment bill, right? It's making me sick again just even thinking about it. So, I'm sweating. Let's move inside. Luckily, I met my office manager by chance, and she basically set things up with insurance companies for me so that companies would know that I exist and would recommend to their employees to start coming to me, because we were in network. I picked up a side gig working for another dentist. It was a group practice on Fridays and Saturday mornings until I could grow my practice enough to support me. I loved working there. The main dentist made me justify why I was doing what I was doing, and would leave me sticky notes, on how he would have done things differently. I just love those sticky notes. Freaking jerk. So I lived on whatever I made Friday and Saturday working at that other office. And in less than a year, my office manager helped me build up the practice so that I could quit my side gig. No more sticky notes, thank goodness. And worry about my own practice. 5 years into it, I hit a snag in that first marriage, and I just realized it wasn't working. He wasn't interested, and neither was I, so we split. He didn't want anything to do with my practice or the huge debt. And thank goodness, because we ended things on good terms, and that's when things really got interesting. The jerk dentist that started my career with ended up charging me the huge rent. He became sick and needed to sell his practice before he died. The people around him, they were searching for about 6 months and couldn't find anybody to buy it. I knew that, I could run it, that that it would be a good move since I was already in the next door suite. So this time I did things correctly. I hired a broker to come in and help me negotiate the practice, and we lowballed them because I knew he was sick, and plus he owed me money from, being a jerk before, and I got that practice cheap. However, I still spent $256,000 more. So it was worth at least double, and maybe even triple than that, but they knew that he couldn't practice anymore, and he ended up dying a month later. So they had to get whatever they could for it as soon as possible because, as time goes on, patients don't want to wait, and, they find other people to go. I went back to my friendly banker, and they combined all of my loans, except the student loans, into one payment with an $80,000 balloon payment at the end of 10 years. Yay. Luckily, I got a 4.75% interest rate, so, over half of what I was spending before. But it was still a significant amount of money to put out every month. And did I mention that my ex-hubby and I built a brand new home? Of course, I deserve it. I'm a doctor, I'm a dentist, 5 minutes from my office. That would be red flag number 7. Another $165,000 at 5.25%. Wow, I never learn, do I? And I also started leasing a new Mercedes C300, silver with black interior, for a whopping $454 a month. Of course, red flag number 8. Do you wonder why medical and dental treatment is so expensive? See all the money lies we're fed? We're so much in debt from school and practice loans that we have to charge you high rates just so we don't drown in our debt and our money stupidity. The system is definitely set up wrong, and it's despicable that we have to go through to accomplish our dreams in medicine, all that stuff. But whatever, it's no wonder that healthcare workers never reach financial independence. We're behind the 8 ball at the beginning. So this is the beginning of the 2000s, and my practice starts growing. At one point, I was paying about $7,600 a month for the practice loans and another $1,500 a month in student loans that never go away, right? It took me 13 years of hard work and being broke that whole time to pay it off. That would be putting me at about 39. I had met my second hubby during this time and just had my son. So now I have a new marriage, a newer house, and a newborn. But no cash, no retirement savings, and no other assets besides the practice and my newly paid off education. Woohoo! So I thought to myself, am I ever going to get out of this? And my answer to myself, of course I had to hype myself up, was yes, I am gonna get out of this. So I paid everything off. I did what every dentist would do, and that would be to buy a bigger house. Yes, as a reward for all my hard work and effort, which was red flag number 9. We bought a home that had land for $325,000 at 3.25% for 15 years. So the payment was almost the same as what I was making on the other house because I didn't put that much of a down payment on the first house, right? Because, I was broke. Sorry, I guess I did have a little bit of money for, saved for the second house. Yeah, I didn't want my son to mess up my beautiful Mercedes with crackers and sticky things and everything that, kids do all the time. And so I turned in my lease and bought a brand new 2016 Subaru Outback at 2.99% rate for $42,000. Red flag number 10. I keep making the same mistakes. When did this thing finally turn around, you might be asking? Well, after I turned 40, I decided that I needed to get serious about investing for retirement. Yes, at age 40. I went to my friend and she's a broker, and I talked it over with her, and she recommended a lot of things, but what we ended up doing was starting a whole life policy with $38,000 a year premium. She said a lot of her physician clients and high net worth people did those type of things, and I said, okay, I'm in good health. I need life insurance anyway because I hadn't done it before. I could do that. I know that the whole life policy thing gets a bad rap, but I'm living it. I disagree. It allows me to have life insurance and sock away money that I can access at any time. And when I want to retire, I can use that money tax-free. It's already been taxed. And so it grows in the background, and then when I want it, I got it. So then I started listening to podcasts and YouTube. The internet started blowing up. All of, YouTube channels, the podcasts, audiobooks and all that started going on. And it was a brand new time to my financial education, and it really started to take off. I dabbled in dividend stocks, and I traded options. I did futures trading. I did all kinds of stuff. But in 2018, I found a character by the name of Grant Cardone, and he promoted his sales training. But on the side, he started doing syndicated real estate deals, which meant that I could invest alongside of him in institutional type multifamily apartment deals, and that I would get paid monthly from my investment and would share in the tax breaks that real estate allows. And I thought to myself, yeah, let's do it. So I started investing with him. When my grandfather died and left me and my family some money, I sank it all into the real estate. I just didn't even touch the money. I sank it all into different deals with him. Then during COVID, 2020 happened, right? So my practice was closed for a bit, and the money train stopped. I still owed about 6 years left on my home and 3 more years on my car. And I had other equipment debt in my business that I was paying on. I had to get real serious about my money. And I came across Dave Ramsey. And I had heard about Dave Ramsey before, but didn't really know what he was about. So I dug into all of his content, and my world was changed. I did a written budget for the first time ever and figured out what was coming in, what was going out. And because I really looked at my money, I started eliminating things that I didn't need and started eliminating the debt that I had. As my practice came back alive, I hunkered down on getting rid of the debt. And in December of 2021, I paid off my business debt and my house. Yes, a relief to not owe anyone anything. So now there were no red flags in my life draining my paycheck, but I still didn't have enough of my retirement in anything, right, to sustain my bills. So I started digging into how to build more cash flow through my investments. And I came across good old Robert Kiyosaki and reread Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had read that book several times before, but didn't really get the message. I don't think I really understood what he was trying to say. But when they say, you know, a door opens or a door closes and then a window opens, this is what happened to me. I actually was like, oh my gosh, he's talking about cash flow. That book is how to get wealth and to grow it by spending my money on assets and not liabilities. I didn't even know what an asset or liability was. It was all about owning things, just like the wealthy. Owning things that paid me monthly, not take money out of my pocket, right? And the light bulb, boing, finally went off. I looked at getting into rentals, but at this age, I'm getting kind of lazy. And at this point in life, with a young kid, I didn't have the energy to be flipping or wholesaling, renovating properties and then managing them. I really didn't want the hassle. So that's why I invested with Grant Cardone in the beginning, in the first place, because he did all that stuff with me. I could sit back and I just collected my monthly checks. But he was only paying 5 to 6% on the investments that I did with him, and I really needed more cash flow into my life in order to retire before I was 120 years old. Okay? I knew compounding in stocks was a young person's game, so I kept searching and searching for other avenues to invest in. By now, I could have invested a bunch of my income, right? So I've paid off everything, and I did a calculation a couple weeks ago, and I'm right now investing 67% of my income into retirement. So I had a good chunk of money, a good amount of money to invest, but was also looking at things with a good revenue. I wanted stuff that would pay me monthly, right? Or even quarterly. But, you know, also diversifying and looking at things with a good return. In 2022, so a couple of years ago, I came across an article about medical debt. Apparently, you can invest in debt from a medical company. They don't want to wait for insurance to pay them, so they give up part of that money so that they could be paid now and not in the future. It's kind of like one of those structured settlement things that you see advertised on TV. Call up when birth, we need cash now, 477 woo. I don't even know what it is, but you remember those commercials. You need cash now. So I don't quite remember what it was, but this was kind of the same thing. So I invest my money with them and wait until the insurance company says, pays me back for whatever amount I invested in. So while I wait, I get paid interest on my money, and they were paying 10 to 12% depending on how long you invest with them. So after talking with one of those guys, I started investing with them. Even though it's taxed at regular income, I was still going to get 7 to 9% on my money guaranteed year after year. There's no ups, there's no downs. There's no problems with the economy. There's no problems with political things. I get my money every single month. Boom, 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 15th, I get my money. So what I did was I jumped on that opportunity. This year, I got Tony Robbins' new book called The Holy Grail of Investing. I read all, the trilogy. And the message in that book was that you could invest in private deals just like the wealthy do, without subjecting yourself or your investments in publicly traded companies that are usually affected by the economy and the politics. I found a company called CAZ, C-A-Z. They're CAZ Investments, and decided to put some money with them. They were projecting higher teens, so 15 to 18% for their rate of return. So now, of course, it's early in the process. I just, started investing with them. So I don't have any kind of results yet. Sorry, people are calling me. So I can't tell you how it's turning out, but that will be an update for another time. If things turn out as what I've planned, I will have enough cash flow coming in to pay my bills in 2029. Woo-wee! That year, my son will go off to college. So I've already saved enough for him to go on a budget, of course, to a public university. I've already told him that we'll have to make sure that he's doing that, so he'll never have to have student loans to pay for afterwards. After my practice is sold, I will invest the proceeds back into the real estate deals, the private equity, and the medical debt, if those options are still available. And that way I can increase my monthly income or quarterly income. I will still have to contribute to my life insurance plan until I'm 60, but I factored into my budget for that. And then once I'm 60, then that will add another 25% to my income. So what are the lessons that I've learned over the past 25 years of completely messing up with money? So the first one is just don't borrow money. It's okay to have a slower pace than others. If you can do it right and not borrow from anyone, you'll be so much further ahead. Number two, I don't deserve anything. Just because I work hard, just because I'm a dentist and should drive a Mercedes and live in a big house, doesn't mean I should have to borrow the money to do those things. Then I shouldn't do it. I deserve freedom, and you do too. Freedom, not debt. The third thing I learned was patience. This goes along with the previous lesson. I've learned to be more patient with my money. It takes time to make it. It takes time to save it, and it takes time for my investments to start making money. Patience with money is definitely a virtue. Number four, anything is possible. No matter how badly you've messed up your finances, you can straighten them out. But you have to work hard and change your money habits along the way so you don't have to make things worse by borrowing more money. Number five, hard work. So it takes a lot of hard work to get out of debt. I know, I've done it. Then once you're out of it, you realize if you start buying things that pay you instead, you can stop working so hard. It's all about the freedom, right? Which is number six, freedom. Freedom is worth the price. I now see financial independence on the horizon, and I'm so excited to finally not have to deal with people every single day and the business. I am working harder than ever to make sure that I can retire with money and some youth left in my life. Need some energy in the tank. Number 7, pay for things in cash. A credit card doesn't sting, right? It's so easy to just swipe it or put the number in. Giving someone cash, physical cash though, really does. Cash helps make sure that the purchase isn't impulsive and that you really want or need it. It builds your confidence and your discipline that you can become great at money. Number 8, say no. Say no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to things and people. I told my friends no just this past month. So I have a bunch that are turning 50 this year, and they're traveling for a weekend and spending a lot of money on it. I already took a big trip earlier this year, and to me, this little trip, it's just not worth it, as I have different plans for the coming year. I can always go to their house and celebrate with them. I don't have to spend my money on doing something that I really don't want to do, or taking more time away from the practice when I'm trying to get away from the practice, right? I don't want to spend my money on a frivolous weekend, so I don't have to look like a rich dentist. I can just be the one with money in my investments, so I don't have to impress anybody. Number 9, eliminate most things. I don't have to own 20 pairs of shoes. I don't need the latest iPhone. I don't have to keep buying things just because I want to or I see them. I can eliminate things that I don't use on a constant and consistent basis. Having something in my possession just in case isn't a good enough reason for me to spend my hard-earned money in order to keep it on hand. I can always rent it, borrow it, or buy it in the future instead of keeping it and storing it for future use just in case. This includes things on my calendar too. Time is money, right? Does my kid need to be in 3 different travel league sports? Nope. Definitely not. The likelihood that he'll go into college on an athletic scholarship, that's my kid, is exactly 2%. And most of those 2% of kids that actually get a scholarship to go to college for athletics, they're only partial scholarships. But why am I lugging this kid around using gas, wasting time, and spending lots of money on food and overnight accommodations to watch these games that he may not end up learning anything, or he might get hurt or whatever? So nope, not necessary for me. Number 10, start saving something ASAP. That means today, that means right now. As you're watching this video, start saving something. So my first paycheck, I should have started my retirement plan at 26. I should have started something because I was already behind my college friends by 4 years because I went to grad school. Even with the debt, I should have been investing something for the future. The debt will get paid, but my future won't unless I start early. Now that I'm 50 and putting 67% of my income into investments so that someday, hopefully soon, I can be free from the office and never have to work again. My 13-year-old is already starting to invest because I've told him about my story. And I told him that in the future, when he's working, college and high school, that I get half of every dollar he earns so that I can invest it for him in his future. I told him that he could probably be retired by the age of 45 if he does this and follows the investment rules that I have learned. Number 11, use the tax laws to my advantage. So I set up a simple IRA plan when I first started, but my employees weren't putting anything into it, and there was a limit of like $6,000 at the time. So after a couple of years, I just dissolved it and never did anything else with it. My accountant said that I could open up a 401k plan, but that I would have to set aside money for them because there were restrictions on owners, which would mean that I would have to invest so much money that they could allow for them and for me, and I would, have to put extra money in. I really didn't want to do that since I was already paying enough taxes and debt on payments. So I just started investing in taxable accounts. So looking back, I probably should have just opened the government regulated accounts and put in as much as I could into them, even though some of that would have been just for them and going elsewhere. But I could have lowered my taxed income and maybe further ahead than anybody, than what I already am. And it's kind of hard to say, but I would have done that probably differently if I would have been better educated on it and I could go back. Number 12. Pay yourself first, okay? You've probably heard this before, but what they mean is that you should figure out how much you need to retire on and when you want to retire, and then you just work backwards. You do the calculations backwards. There's many free calculators out there on the internet that can help you do this. If you know how much you need to save every month, you can automate that investment through your bank or your IRA or your HR department. That way you can never see the money that's coming out and what goes to work for you, instead of you accidentally spending it on vacations or something stupid, right? It just automatically goes in there and it automatically starts building your wealth. So I do this now with my bills and my investments, and the only money that I have to actually manage now is my fund money, and it makes my life with automation and that, and the time that I spend on my money, so much easier and less. Number 13. This is one of my favorite ones. Have some fun. Have some fun. So investing for my future, it's okay for me to have some fun. I don't need to live like a pauper. I can still go on vacation and buy a car, but I need to make sure I've saved for it first and pay it in cash so that the item doesn't haunt me in the future. So I have a house that always needs renovated. Most of the time I do a little at a time because I do it myself as the cash savings allows me to do. I do what's necessary, and then I fill in the rest with decor when I've had enough saved. So that's kind of how I do it. Number 14, I am responsible. I finally have learned that. No one is going to save me. I have to be responsible with my money. That means I have to do what I can to earn it, save it, spend it, and invest it wisely. It's not only has this, I need to support myself today, it must grow, this money, to support me in the future too. So I gotta save it today and I gotta make it grow for tomorrow. So I have to take the responsibility to educate myself and make wise decisions. So number 15, whew, this list is getting long. Constant learning. So I watch a ton of YouTube videos. I read tons of books and listen to a lot of podcasts. about investing and using my money wisely. How to do it, where to do it, what's going on. I know that I don't know everything about it, so I'm constantly following the markets and the economy so I can run my business and my investments wisely. I always keep spare cash on hand in case I need it, emergency funds in my business and at home. I also have spare cash in case opportunities to invest wisely come up. It's never a bad thing to have some cash laying around. Number 16, be flexible. So your goals are always going to change. Your life's going to change. There may be a death in the family, a health scare, somebody gets hurt, a job changes. There may be a divorce. You may want to retire at 50 just because you can and you have enough money to do so. So you should be able to have enough money to support your expenses. And we create a plan when we're young, and then we need to be flexible and be able to change that plan when life gets in the way. Being prepared is the best way to ward off problems. Having an emergency, consistently investing, no matter what the market does, can help you have the funds necessary to ward off problems that always come up, right? Number 17, keep investing. Always be buying, no matter what the economy is doing. If you automate your investments on a consistent basis, you won't be spooked when the market craters and the economy tanks, or we get another COVID like they did in 2020. They always will have down periods. The markets go up, the markets go down. When we all have to tighten our belts, but like anything else, you should be buying when things are down and when the prices are on sale. Don't be afraid to keep going, because we always bounce back in spite of what the reporters talk about on the news. So don't listen to them. They just read words from teleprompters and writers. Most of the time, they don't know what's going on, what's really happening in the economy, and all they're talking about is some guy's opinion that may or may not have been based on facts. So keep investing for the future and watch your nest egg grow. Number 18, there's more to investing than just stocks and bonds. There are so many ways to invest nowadays. It's so easy to go online and find something. There's so many syndicators out there that can pool your money into their deals, like real estate, farmland, storage facilities, and even mobile home communities. There are private equity groups and credit. There's oil and gas indicators. There's physical precious metals. There's small businesses out there that you could start doing a side hustle or whatever. There's student loan and medical debt companies that buy that from other people. There's dividend paying index funds. There's T-bills and other treasuries. So, this list can kind of get you started, but it can go on and on. A good investment, a good way to invest is just to invest in a couple of different areas, so that if the public markets are down, maybe your real estate goes up to make up for the difference, right? So do the research, do your own research, because I'm not recommending anything. I'm not a professional like that, but choose a few different types of investments and stick with them. Just keep put money into them. 19, make sure that your spouse is on board. There's usually a spender and a saver in the relationship, and it's great if you're both savers. It's very bad if you're both spenders, but normally there's a yin and yang in this whole thing, and that's okay as long as the spender knows that there is a limit to how much that he or she can spend. So as long as you talk about it and you create a future investing plan, then the budget that you guys create together can free up money that can be spent for fun things so that everyone is happy. You save some and you spend some. Over half of American marriages end in divorce, and the culprit usually is money. So make sure you talk about money with your spouse and make sure that you create a plan together and that you stick to that plan. Number 20, be optimistic. I never thought that I would get out of debt, but I did. I never thought I could retire before 65. I really never thought about it, but I'm almost there. Gonna do it early. If you control your money, it can be wonderful and do wonderful things for you. If you let it do whatever it wants, then it won't help you do anything. I relaunched this channel. It was mostly about different types of habits before, but now I'm really concentrating into money habits. Why? It's to help all of you with money lessons that I've learned over the past 25 years. I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I've made, and if you've stayed this long till the end, you've realized that I was a complete idiot with my money, and maybe you'll learn what not to do with yours. So my family really never talked about money with me, and I'm definitely not going to allow my son to make the same mistakes with his money as I did. And that's why on my, I'm doing my 10th book right now. I've written all of them down for myself, learning different aspects of myself, my psychology, my habits, and I hope that my son and grandchildren will read them and learn how to jump ahead in the money game. If you want to read any of my books, go to Amazon or my website. It's called thehabitmaster.com. So the book that I'm writing now, it's called Money Habits. I don't know how many there's going to be. I think I'm on chapter 6 right now, but as soon as it comes out, I'm going to let you guys have it for free. So make sure you stay tuned and keep following up, because as I get it done, you guys can have it. You don't have to be have a fancy degree or be making millions of dollars to win with money, and I've totally learned that. And I know if you learn from me and from others around YouTube and podcasts and books, that you too can take control of your money and allow it to grow and take care of you in the future. So that's it for the show today. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. What did you take away from my financial journey? Good and bad? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, this is Money Habits.